Free agency officially starts tomorrow, but we had a wild Tuesday, a lot of moves, a lot of that tampering period going on. So players are agreeing to sign, but they haven't officially signed yet. So let's kind of go through some moves. All right, so I got a little free agency tracker on sportingnews.com. So I'm just going to kind of go team by team, quickly go through some of the moves. All right, Arizona Cardinals, first on the board. They signed Sam Bradford to a $20 million one-year contract. Idiots. What idiots? So you're telling me that you would rather spend $20 million on Sam Bradford than try and trade for Nick Foles? Idiots. What idiots? That's their big splash at quarterback? I mean, I guess they're going to go draft somebody in the draft. I would think so. Maybe that's like a Mason Rudolph or Lamar Jackson or Luke Falk at 15. But Sam Bradford? Yuck. F. They get an F for that signing. And speaking of Nick Foles, I don't think he's going anywhere now unless you see something in training camp or preseason where a quarterback gets hurt and you can kind of shaft somebody like the Eagles did with Sam Bradford a couple years ago. But Bradford to the Cardinals, and with the Buffalo Bills making the trade with the swap with Cincinnati yesterday, going from 21 to 12, I think they're going to try real hard to get into the top 5. I don't think they're going to be in the Nick Foles sweepstakes. I don't think anybody is going to be in the Nick Foles sweepstakes at this point. He is going to stay in Eagles green. All right, going through some other teams. Atlanta didn't really do anything. They re-signed Austin Patzer, offensive tackle, re-signed Leon McFadden, cornerback. Baltimore signed a couple wide receivers. You've got John Brown, agreed to a contract with him, doesn't say the amount. I like that signing if it's for the right price. He was explosive his first 2 years in the league, and then he's been kind of dealing with injuries ever since. He's a deep threat. He's a good complement for Joe Flacco because of the way Joe Flacco likes to fling that ball deep. Ryan Grant, 4-year, $29 million contract. I mean, it's whatever. Not really crazy about that one, but there you go. Buffalo Bills, they agreed to a 5-year contract with Star Lotulelei. I think he pronounces it differently, but I can't get it out of my mouth. So there you go. But Lotulelei reunites with Sean McDermott, former defensive coordinator for the Panthers. Marcel Darius was traded, so he kind of fills that void. Lotulelei not going to impress you with the stats, with the sacks, but he holds up the play at the line of scrimmage, and he's a solid player. So that's a solid get for them. Other moves they made: re-signed Kyle Williams, 1-year extension, 2-year contract with safety Raphael Bush. Okay, he's pretty underrated. I like Bush. Carolina agreed to a 3-year contract with cornerback Bashaud Breeland. All right, I mean, veteran corner. I don't know what that money's for, though. Breeland comes off a pretty good season, but he's kind of like hit or miss. He's been inconsistent. I see Demir Bird got a 1-year contract extension. Bird kind of came out of nowhere last year, had a really good preseason, emerged during the regular season. So there you go there. Chicago made a bunch of moves. All right, so you had the 3-year contract with Allen Robinson, 4-year, $32 million for Trey Burton. Taylor Gabriel, 4-year contract. So you see what's happening here. They are loading up on offense. They didn't have anything on the offensive side of the ball last year besides running back Jordan Howard, but giving Mitchell Trubisky some weapons, some much-needed weapons. Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, and Gabriel's a guy that can go deep. So 3 guys that Trubisky now has at his disposal. I like that Ryan Pace is being aggressive. I think he needs to be to load up on talent for Trubisky. So I like what the Bears are doing. They also agreed to a 3-year, $27 million contract with cornerback Prince Amukamara. So Amukamara, I believe, comes off a 1-year deal. And, he's a guy that's been kind of hurt his whole career, but whenever he's on the field, he's actually really productive. So $9 million a season, though, for him, that's a lot for a guy that gets hurt a lot. But I do like him as a player when he's actually on the field. Cleveland Browns, okay. I mean, they made a couple moves. Chris Smith agreed to a 3-year contract. Donald Stevenson, a tackle, and 5-year, $37.5 million contract with Chris Hubbard. So, some guys along the offensive line, they made a lot of moves last week, as I've gotten into. Dallas Cowboys, well, they didn't really do much. Re-signed Brian Price to a 2-year extension 2 days ago, and that's about it. Denver Broncos. All right, so they were the ones that signed Case Keenum, and because they signed Case Keenum and not Kirk Cousins, that actually saves them $10 million that they can spend to add some weapons, potentially, or whatever they want to do. But Case Keenum, this doesn't rule out a possibility that they take a quarterback at 5. If their guy is there that they want at 5, they should draft him. Detroit Lions, 1-year contract with Christian Jones and Devin Kennard, a 3-year deal. So 2 linebackers, 2 underrated linebackers. I actually like both of these moves by the Lions. So I like those moves. Okay. Let's see. Green Bay Packers. So they made a couple moves today. 1-year, $5 million contract for Muhammad Wilkerson. So he got the big contract with the Jets. Then he got lazy. Then he got cut. And now we'll see if he's motivated again. I mean, a lot of talent there out of Wilkerson. So I think that's a good get for the price, for sure. Released Jordy Nelson, and they signed Jimmy Graham to a 3-year contract. Okay. Aaron Rodgers likes to go to his tight ends a lot, and Graham, I like the move. I think Graham's been overrated now for the last couple of years, but I think it's a good fit for him and a good fit for Aaron Rodgers too. So there's that. Jordy Nelson, free agent now. We'll see where he goes. Texans, 4-year, $34 million contract with cornerback Aaron Colvin. Okay, Colvin was with the Jaguars. Pretty underrated corner. Kind of got lost in the shovel because they got Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye. So Colvin's kind of lost in the mix there, but he's a really solid corner. 4 years, $34 million. So they got him for less than what the Bears paid Prince Amukamara. I like the Texans signing there over Amukamara. They also agreed to a contract with Santrell Henderson. No information here as to how much that is. Henderson, he's a backup tackle, so that's that. Indianapolis didn't make any moves from what I see here. Jacksonville. So Jacksonville, they re-signed Blake Bortles to a 3-year contract extension. They didn't go after a big-name quarterback in free agency because they wanted to make moves for Bortles, and that meant re-signing Allen Robinson. Well, Allen Robinson didn't re-sign. He went to Chicago. Instead, they signed Marquise Lee. They agreed to a contract with Dante Moncrief, who did nothing last year with Andrew Luck as his quarterback. Not as his quarterback, but when Andrew Luck was the quarterback, Moncrief had, pretty good last couple years. They do bring in Andrew Norwell. They needed a guard really badly, and Norwell was pretty good in Carolina. So I like that signing. Paul Posluszny also retired, so that happened today. But the 2 wide receivers, underwhelming signings there. You gotta give Blake Bortles some more help. Yeah. There you go. Kansas City. 3-year contract with Sammy Watkins. I think I actually saw the amount, but the amount isn't here. Okay, so I guess Kansas City, a couple years ago, they were a defensive team. And, Tamba Hali, Derek Johnson, Eric Berry. I mean, so many guys that they had in their front 7 and secondary. Marcus Peters, but a lot of those guys are gone now. And now they've moved to become an offensive team. So I can understand wanting to get Patrick Mahomes some weapons, but Sammy Watkins, to me, has always been inconsistent. He hasn't lived up to his billing as a number one wide receiver. And the money that he got was too much. I mean, I understand why he got paid that much, but I think he's overrated. I like Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill fits what they're going to want to do because he's a deep threat and Patrick Mahomes has a huge arm. But I don't like the Sammy Watkins move. They also agreed to a 5-year contract with linebacker Anthony Hitchens. Los Angeles Chargers, not really much here. Tyrell Williams, 1-year contract. Casey Hayward got a 3-year contract extension. I really like that move. I think Casey Hayward is one of the more underrated cornerbacks in the league, and he comes off a fantastic season. So for the longest time, Hayward was a nickel guy, and then Verrett got hurt this year, and he really stepped up, and he was remarkable for the Chargers this year. Well-deserved contract extension there. So the other moves, Tyrell Williams, Nick Zubnar, linebacker, 2-year contract, and then also they signed Jeremy Davis, whatever. Let's see. Los Angeles Rams signed cornerback Troy Hill, running back Malcolm Brown, 3-year contract with nickel Roby Coleman, so nothing really big there. Miami. Oh, man, Albert Wilson, I believe, got like $8 million a year. 3-year contract, Albert Wilson. Yuck. I don't think he's that good. I'm not big on Albert Wilson. I don't like that signing. 2-year contract with Danny Amendola as well. I mean, Amendola, if he can actually stay on the field. So, I'll tell you what. I like Adam Gase as a head coach, but I don't like him as a GM. And I don't like what he's doing as a GM at all, really. So there's that. Minnesota. Oh, wow. Kirk Cousins' contract isn't here yet. But obviously we know about that. Kirk Cousins got a bunch of money. 3 years, I believe it's, $86 million, all of it guaranteed. Even though it's a lot of money and they overpaid for Kirk Cousins, I think it's the right move because they have a defense in place. They have Dalvin Cook at running back. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs as your wide receivers. The offensive line is improving. It was better last year than it was the year before, even though, it's still not the best unit in the league. But Kirk Cousins, not that he's going to put Minnesota over the top, but he's a better fit for them right now than drafting, say, a rookie or bringing back Case Keenum or re-signing Sam Bradford. I think signing Kirk Cousins was the right move. If Denver would have signed Kirk Cousins, I thought that would have been a bad move. But because Minnesota is ready to win a Super Bowl right now, I think it was the right thing to do. I see nothing here on the New England side. New Orleans Saints, 2-year contract with Drew Brees. I mean, come on, we knew he wasn't going anywhere. The Giants, they agreed to a contract with Jonathan Stewart. I mean, obviously they need a running back in New York, but Jonathan Stewart, okay. I mean, he's over 30 now. I don't believe in signing running backs who are over 30. I'm not really big into that, but I don't know what the amount is. The amount isn't here, so there's that. New York Jets agreed to contract with inside linebacker Avery Williamson. I do like him. They bring in Tremaine Johnson. I like him. And they also brought in Josh McCown again, another 1-year deal. And if I read this correctly, I believe Teddy Bridgewater got a $5 million contract. So they have 2 quarterbacks. I guess the way I'm kind of reading into this is if they don't get their guy at 6, their quarterback that they want, you know what? They might miss out on their guy because look, think about this. You got the Giants at 2, probably drafting a quarterback. I think the Bills are going to trade up to 3. They're taking a quarterback. Cleveland's going to take a quarterback. Denver might take a quarterback. So if you miss out on your quartet, well, now you're out of luck in terms of the quarterback position. I also don't think the Jets are going to be any good this year, again, but they actually surprised me last year. I thought they would be the worst team in the league. They wound up being the 6th worst team, and, well, maybe it was better off tanking because now they might not get their quarterback, and they might have to wait until the next draft. But, McCown had a really good year for them last year. Teddy Bridgewater, if that contract is true and it's only for $5 million, it's a good risk to take. And then the other moves, 3-year deal with Isaiah Crowell. I mean, whatever. Tremaine Johnson, good corner. He didn't re-sign, obviously, with the Rams because they went out and got a keep to leave Marcus Peters. So the Jets, they have a lot of money to spend. Tremaine Johnson, and then Avery Williamson, I think, is a good linebacker for them. Oakland Raiders, not really much here. I'm seeing they signed Giorgio Fedkiw. That was their kicker. He took over for Sebastian Janikowski last year. Janikowski dealt with an injury, and then they released him. They signed linebacker Shalik Calhoun and 3-year deal tight end Derek Carrier. Philadelphia Eagles. I talked about the Haloti Ngata move earlier. I talked about Brent Selleck getting released earlier. I haven't talked about Corey Nelson yet. So Nelson was a backup on Denver. Kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit because, well, they're kind of stacked at linebacker. He played really well for them a couple years ago, but he comes off an injury. So he didn't play much last year. He's going to be like a backup depth piece / special teamer. These are the signings that the Eagles are going to have to make. Some signings like these. I mean, this is very reminiscent of the Patrick Robinson signing. They're taking a flyer and they're hoping to strike gold. They struck gold with Robinson last year, and we'll see if it happens with Corey Nelson. Pittsburgh Steelers, not seeing anything. Chris Boswell, that was their kicker last year. San Francisco 49ers. So we know about them signing Richard Sherman from a couple days ago. Weston Richburg, 5-year contract with him. I like Richburg. I think he's a really good player. I think he was pretty underrated in New York. It's a really bad offensive line, but Weston Richburg is a good player, and I like that signing for the Niners. Let's see. Seattle re-signed Bradley McDougald to a 3-year extension, released Deshaun Shedd, signed Dustin Coleman to a 1-year contract. I like McDougald as a third safety for them. These other moves, whatever. Tampa Bay, they made moves a couple days ago. They re-signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. Mike Evans got a 5-year extension. Cameron Brake got a 6-year extension. They signed Brent Grimes, linebacker Darius Glanton, wide receiver Adam Humphries, running back Peyton Barber. Okay. Let's see. Tennessee Titans, 5-year, $61 million deal with cornerback Malcolm Butler. So, all right, he reunites with Logan. What's his? God damn it! What's his name? Blanking, but cornerback Logan. And so they're back being together. That's a lot of money for Butler, though, man. That's a lot of money for him. I don't like that deal because Butler kind of comes off a bad season with New England. Didn't start in the Super Bowl. Okay, I mean, I see why they did it. I like Adoree Jackson. I think he had a pretty good rookie year. So, all right. I don't think they really needed to go Malcolm Butler. Deion Lewis, 4-year, $20 million contract. Okay. He's good. He's solid scat back out of the backfield. Safety valve for Marcus Mariota. So, all right, I can understand that one. Washington Redskins, big move that they made today. 5 years, $40 million for Paul Richardson. So he got paid. Richardson got more money than I thought he'd get. So Richardson was kind of a late bloomer for Seattle. He's a speed guy. First couple years in the league, they were thinking he was going to be a bust. But he comes off a pretty solid season in Seattle. So, but man, 5 years, $40 million, that is a lot of money for him. So Redskins, they go after another wide receiver. So there you go. Those are all 32 teams. Those are kind of my thoughts on the moves as I go team by team. If I miss anybody, that's, my bad. I guess this isn't getting updated fully all the time. But I think I'm pretty sure I got everybody. So there you go. Those are all 32 teams. Those are all the moves that were made today. And, Brendan and I are going to be doing a video tomorrow on some of these moves. So with that being said, I'm Adrian Fedkiw. I am out.